Hi, I'm Kevin,
And I'm Amanda.
and we are serving up
All that jam.
All That Jam, Quick Hit. Catching up with Kuh Nives.
Since you're
Sweet.
here, let me ask you, how have you seen the past 6 months with the band? How has the keyboard changed your approach?
Gives me a little bit more room to breathe. Kind of just like, okay, because I do a bit of synth with like a little foot controller thing. And obviously having him do all the synths, I don't do near as much. And I can get a little bit more into what I'm playing. And I really enjoy that. So, and I think it all in all allows it to be a little bit more creative because now we have a new texture and the way we play off of each other. It's like every new thing that gets introduced, we all kind of go, oh, what could I do with that? So it's been great.
When you're writing new tunes now, is the process any different than it was when you were just a trio?
I would say the process is the same. We just have more input now and more ideas and more possibilities. And I've actually written a couple songs now as a four piece, and it's probably the material that I'm the most excited about playing. So I think we keep evolving, as we continue to progress.
Cool. Very
So
nice.
you mentioned the album. I know this might be a little ways off, but have you all given any thought to how you might want to kind of get that music out there, and then maybe supporting all of that with some shows? Anything maybe different now that you've got, this new setup?
Well, I guess yeah, once we finish it, we've not really done a whole lot of like album release or like, really pushing an album kind of a thing. So I don't know. I guess I've never really thought of that. It would be a cool one because it is kind of a concept album. So we probably could do something a little special with it and introducing the keys on the, first time being on the album sort of a thing. So yeah, I don't know.
Can we spill the beans to what the concept is?
Um, I I guess it's it just the idea is that we wrote it as it's everything connects in some way.
Okay.
So yeah, everything was kind of written with an idea in mind, and we try to carry a thread throughout. So
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think the plan would be for the album release to actually play that as a complete piece of music, where we haven't really done that. We've done sections of it. We play each of the tunes separately, um, but we haven't done the full play it all the way through with the transitions that we wrote it as. So I think that'll be something that'll be special with that to go
Can
along
we
with the
call it a
album.
rock opera?
Can you call it that if it's instrumental?
Yes, sure. Of course you can. What about Emerson Lake and Palmer doing pictures at an exhibition? Right? There's a story in there somewhere. I don't know what it is, but there is. So going forward, what do you see? Um, you guys don't tour that much, and you're kind of tight with your area there. Next year, you got any festivals? You got anything you have your eye on to expand your footprint?
um, kind of curious to see how the new revamped summer camp turns out. So um, nothing on the table yet for that, but obviously we've worked there past several years, so um, that would be great, of course. But yeah, anywhere we could get would be awesome. We're getting into Indianapolis a little bit, so maybe reach out to some of the people we've met through that and stuff like that. And yeah,
Is it just you guys, or do you have management, or are you working with anybody?
yeah, it's
Just
just
us,
us.
right? Which is
Yeah,
the way
yeah,
a lot of times, somebody like Bob Weir needs a manager because he's Bob Weir. But, I think a lot of it, I guess it's as much as you want to put into it, though. How many phone calls do you want to make to clubs and that kind of thing? Where do you guys do your
yeah.
recording?
We actually all record. We all have kind of home studios. Um, we kind of take an interesting approach to it as well. Doug, our drummer, he actually starts the recording and structures it all out. Sort of interesting. He will also map out the jam sections based off of maybe previous versions of what we've played and maybe a little bit different. And so the album versions of our pieces it always end up being different than how we originally wrote them. And then typically after we record them and we play them live, they've also evolved into something else. So it's almost that's the life cycle of our tunes. Is they originate at practice. We play them live. We record them. We play them live again, and there's usually an evolution through that whole thing.
So essentially, you're layering on as you go, starting with drums, and then like mastering that or kind of doing that mix. Is one of you really kind of handling that, or do you share that, which would be super interesting to think about?
Yeah, that's something that I've sort of done. Is I'll take all the pieces of it and then do the mixing and mastering. Obviously, with a lot of input from the rest of the band, but that usually resides on my machine and then gets out there.
How do you know when a song's done?
It's a great question. Probably when we're all done recording. I think that'll be another thing too with having Josiah now adding those additional layers on top of it, right? Sort of the possibilities are there's more possibilities for what that can sound like. We've always been limited to not wanting to do too much on the recordings to where we couldn't play it live. But I think now our ability to play that live has expanded with the fourth member. So,
Yep.
There's an interesting philosophy because, we talk to some bands who use that recording time and that space to kind of go off what they would normally do, bring in a lot of additional instrumentation or, change it and really kind of make that something that very much stands apart from what they would do live, knowing they're not going to be able to really recreate that. But I like that idea of, you want to be able to take that and in some way kind of transfer it to the live setting, even if there are always going to be things that are kind of evolving with it too.
Yep. Yeah, we definitely don't have any of those songs that were, they're recorded and they can't be played live. Everything is with the intention of being played live. So.
Ever think about bringing in an outside vocalist for a tune or something?
We've kind of talked about it, but never really took it that serious, I guess.
Yeah. We just, knowing so many musicians and people we've all played with in the past, it's like, man, it'd be kind of cool to have them come do a tune, but we're like, what would we have them do? Do you just turn them loose or do you give them an idea? And
you got to go with like Great Gig in the Sky where there's not words. It's just.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I think another thing that would be good to share is that the songs are often so rhythmically complex and the drummer is driving kind of where things go so much that it would have to be a very conscious evolution to move on to doing songs more driven by vocals. Only because when you have so many shifting time signatures and that happening throughout a song, it's just like it would either be we have a lead vocalist who's just a vocalist that can keep up with all those changes, or we stop thinking so much about what we're doing on our instruments, and no one wants to do that because that's where we're deriving all of our pleasure, I think. So
that's a good point because that could really change your sound. Like when the master sounds recorded with Lamar Williams Jr., that album is very different than pretty much everything else they've done. And that tour, was unique. And whenever he sits in, it's very different. And I almost think they had to kind of decide, well, this is what we're going to do for now. But it really switched up a lot of their kind of normal processes for how they play live too.
Yeah, I think we'll probably get to a point someday eventually where we want to experiment, but
Yeah.
there's so many new things to do right now. And I've been a fan and friend of the band. Brett and I have played music forever, over 20 years now, and Pup and I had run into each other and played in some short-term projects throughout that time also. So I think there's just a lot that we can explore together and see where things go and see if maybe vocals in the future, maybe not.
Right. Very nice. Very nice. So if I want more Kuh Nives, where am I going to listen and maybe throw you some money if I want?
Bandcamp. That's where we post all of our live recordings, typically a couple days after the show has happened. All multi-track. So yeah, throw it
Are you
out there
recording
on Bandcamp, and then usually about a week later, we'll try to get the full multicam video on YouTube as well. So
Are you guys recording from the stage to this like gear on the stage, or do you have a sound guy who's doing that?
So we actually have our own soundboard that we're using. And we route everything through our board. Pup, you can probably explain this better than I can.
Yeah, I do the tech side of things. So yeah, we run all of our mics to a splitter. That's split off to our board where we have full control over what we want it to sound like for the recording, what we want it to sound like for all of our in-ears, and then the splitter runs to the house and they can do whatever they want with it. So yeah, we have complete control over our little environment, and sound guys typically love it.
Now, you said you had the talkback mic on stage and you have the in-ear stuff. How has that, do you feel like that's affected how your jams go? I know that Brett said he forgets to use it.
Yeah, when we use it, it's really cool. I've listened back to some jams and have been like, that part sounded real tight, that change sounded real tight, and it was something that he might have mentioned, and then we just all like nail it rather than kind of like morphing into something, having a nice clean change. And yeah, obviously when you don't hear the talkback mic, you're like, ooh, that was nice.
I have a copy of a Mickey Hart's feed from 95 at Soldier Field. And it is so bizarre to listen to because there's a little bit of fill and it's the drums, basically. You hear Garcia like an echo way in the background somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think any of our mixes are that extreme.
Yeah, he's Mickey Hart. He gets away with it. Dead and Company gonna be at the Spear, from what I hear.
I saw that rumor.
Oh.
Yeah, and they specifically said with John Mayer. It sounds like too.
Yeah. Well, John, they said when they broke up that they weren't breaking up; they just weren't touring anymore.
Touring, yeah.
Whatever. It's like The Hill. They're on their final tour for the 19th time. You know.
I feel like their playing was so good that last tour that they just started to backtrack and just were like, "Hey, actually, we're not really done." You know.
No, they should.
Yeah, this has been too fun.
They were too good last time. Really.
I agree.
Yeah.
If you are enjoying All That Jam, please like and subscribe to our social media channels at All That Jam Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or visit our website, allthatjampod.com. Make sure to sign up for our email list and tune in every week for new episodes.
Also, look for full interviews on our YouTube channel. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long.